What's up, fellas? Welcome in to week 2 of the Pineapple Squad Fantasy Football Podcast for the 2020 season. Appreciate you guys watching. If you watched last week, thank you. Come at you live on recording about 6 in the morning on Wednesday. I wanted to do it today so I could check out some of the waiver action. I was assuming one of you fools would bet $100 to grab somebody, maybe $100 on a Jerick McKinnon or Devontae Freeman. No one bet $100, but spoiler alert, both those guys did get picked up. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. I'm sitting here recording this. My ACL's feeling a little twingy, feels like it might pop or snap. And that's because if you were paying any attention, you know this is one of the worst weeks, not just for fantasy injuries, but for injuries, period, in the NFL. There's dudes left and right, knees popping off, Achilles breaking, arms falling off. It was horrible. Even though it was a terrible week, though, we did have some pretty okay matchups. We had an 0-1 team not only get their first win, but possibly establish themselves as a team to beat going forward. We had 2 teams start the season with a perfect record and 2 teams that are still looking for their first win. So let's dive in quickly, take a look at some of these scores. Let me get the screen share going real quick. Boom. All right, our matchup of the week featured 2 0-1 teams looking for their first win. Brown had the second highest score in the league last week, but he still ended up dropping his opening week matchup to Vincor, your boy. He would not repeat the mistake as he dropped a solid 192 on Bearman and possibly solidified himself as a team to beat early in the season. Bears team was anchored by Josh Allen's 41 points, including 417 yards and 4 touchdowns. Dalvin added 63 yards and a tutty for 17 points. And Justin Tucker once again proved that he is the GOAT with 4 field goals, 3 extra points for 16 points total. He also got solid help from the bottom half of his lineup. Hayden Hurst, Robbie Anderson, Deontay combined for almost 60 points. Unfortunately, Bear took a load of full-blown all over his face. Dual threat Kyler Murray throws for 286 and a touchdown and added 67 rushing yards and 2 scores on the ground for 33 points total. Calvin Ridley was once again the standout receiver for the Falcons. He hauled in a team-high 7 catches for 109 yards and 2 scores for 30 points. Thank you for that, Calvin Ridley. I had Julio on my team. Fuck you very much. Anthony Miller's 0 points was really the only weak spot for Brown's team. He also got 29 from Diggs, 24 from Kelsey, and 19 from DK. Brown went into Monday Night Football. He only needed let me fix this for you guys here. He only needed 8 points, I believe, from Cam to get this victory, or to tie at least. And Cam got that plus an extra 30 just to be safe, just to put the mustard on it. So Brown moves to 1-1. Bear remains winless. Check out the scores here. Brown wins 192 to 162.3. All right, our next matchup here. Who do we got? You know what? The next matchup, this was kind of the 1B matchup of the week. The reason is Brown's team looked really good. The dude that ended up winning this one looked almost equally as good. This was Andrew and myself both looking to start the season 2-0. What looked like a close match that would come down to a Sunday night game against a pair of Patriots wide receivers. It was going to be a close match. I was excited about it. That is until the first quarter of the Thursday night game. That's when it became apparent Andrew was taking this season super serious. Nick Chubb opened the scoring for AT with 124 yards on the ground and 2 tutties for 26 points. Momentum didn't stop Sunday when all his team did was score double-digit points across the board. Melvin Gordon had 70 yards on the ground, receiving touchdown for 16 points against the Steelers. Hoppy went 8 for 68 and a score for 20. And Mike Evans, who benefited from Chris Godwin's head falling off, he added 104 yards and a touchdown for 23 points. Tyler Higbee only had 5 catches, which is cool, except 3 of the 5 catches were for touchdowns. So that fucking sucked. Cool. Nikhil and Marvin combined for 27 to round out Ate's day. We won't get into specific scoring. I can scroll down and let you guys see what I'm talking about here. But Ate's team was enough to beat 4 starting lineups in our league. 4 lineups that started this week in our league. So that's cool. His bench was a fucking monster too. 120 points on his bench there. My side, after a great week 1 where I had the highest score in the league, my team got a fat piece of humble pie. Lamar was held to below average for him, 19 points, which only included 1 completion to Mark Andrews, who ended the day with a solid 3 spot. Falcons put up 39 points, but somehow Julio only managed 2 catches, and Scotty Miller's bum ass contributed a whole 3 points. Welcome back to the waiver wire, Scotty Miller. You fucking bum. You're off my team. You're doing a disservice to all the great white guys who have played with Tom Brady in the past. You're looking like a fool. So, bye-bye. My running backs were the only bright spot for my team. Zeke had 22 points, even though Dak vultured 3 tutties inside the 5-yard line. I was super pissed about that. Zeke easily could have had 40 points. David Montgomery had 82 rushing yards and a receiving touchdown to finish the day with a respectable 21. However, Ange wins easily, 175 points to 114, and starts the season 2-0. I split the difference. I start 1-1. Let's see here. I believe, yes, Ian and Clint is our next matchup. The Mahomies versus the 69ers. Hooch and Gibbsy faced off. Han was definitely hurt by a couple of injuries on his team, but chances are he probably still wasn't going to win this one. Easily the 2 best players for Gibbs this week were the Chiefs tandem of Mahomes and Freak, who Tyreek actually decided he wanted to show up and play some foosball this week. Pat finished with 302 yards and 2 touchdowns for 31 points. 99 of those yards and 1 touchdown went to Tyreek, who was the only player for Gibbs to finish with over 20 points, the only other player to finish with over 20 points. The only other bright spot for the Mahomies was Raheem Mostert, who finished with 92 yards and a touchdown before he had to leave the game with an injury. Injuries were a problem for Gibbsy this week. Saquon, we know, went down with an ACL. He's done for the year. Will Fuller had 0 points. They didn't necessarily say it was because of the hamstring injury, but it probably was because of the hamstring injury. Will Fuller, that's man, he's great when he's healthy, but the dude's never fucking healthy. That sucks for Gibbs. Excuse me. Going over to Hooch's team here, looks like Big Russ puts up a monster number, and the Seahawks win against the Pats on Sunday night. Ended up with 5 touchdowns, 288 yards. He added 39 yards on the ground for a total of 43 points. CMC, unfortunately, had to leave the game. He's probably going to be out 3 to 6 weeks, depending. He's still a young guy. He's always been healthy, so maybe he'll bounce back quick. He did, before he left the game, had 2 rushing touchdowns, and he added 25 points for Hooch. Chris Carson and Lockett each grabbed a receiving touchdown, and Coop season tallied 100 yards on 6 receptions. Hooch has to be worried about Gronk, who put up a big fat 0. Gronk was so bad he was less productive than Scotty Miller, who, as I already told you, is a bum. So who knows? Maybe Gronk's just taking a little while to get back in the groove. He was off for a season, or maybe he just sucks. I don't know. Hooch does win this one regardless. 148 to 98, wins this one fairly easily. Good job, Hoochie. All right, next up, we got my man Bobby Freeze. Bobby Freeze against Mitch and the horses in the back. This matchup wasn't totally fair since most of Mitch's team are dead. He's probably had the worst injury issues between him and Gibbs of the team so far this season. Michael Thomas missed this week. He'll probably be out another game or 2. Court Lane is done for the year. Devontae Adams, who was absolutely crushing it, is going to be out for a while. Le'Veon is on IR for, I believe, 3 weeks. think the IR this week is you have to be on for 3 or 4 weeks. I forget, but he's regardless going to be out a couple more games. Mitch's team was so bad that only 4 players finished in double-digit points, and one of those was the kicker, Rodrigo Blankenship. Solid 15 points there. Good job, Rodrigo. Darren Waller was a bright spot for Mitch, finishing with 12 catches for 103 yards and a tutty for 28 points. Besides that, he got 12 points from Deshaun, below average 16. 12 points from Deshaun Jackson, a below average 16 from Deshaun Watson, and Devontae and Court Lane finished with 6 and 9 respectively before they had to leave the game. Over on Skip's side, the results were better. Matty Ice hung up 4 touchdowns during the Falcons' epic meltdown against the Cowboys for 35 points. Miles Sanders made his return from injury with 95 yards and a tutty for 20 points. Pass boy Jonathan Taylor touchdown finished with over 100 yards, a touchdown, and 19 points. OBJ only had 4 catches, but one was a nasty 43-yard touchdown from Baker, and he finished with 17 points. You got to love how the Browns look going forward. I know the Bengals suck, but if they can sustain that, you got to feel good about your OBJ chances the rest of the season. Keenan had 16 with his new quarterback Herbert playing for the first time. Bobby Trees finds the end zone on one of his 3 catches to end the day with 11. Skip's team looked respectable, wins this one easily, 145 to 110. Mitch, I really do feel for you, brother. The final matchup of the week, you all know what this one is. It was the Fruit Bowl, the first Fruit Bowl of the year. It was kind of anticlimactic. Turns out MJ sucks this year. But regardless, it was the first official Fruit Bowl of the season. I featured new father Banana Man. Congratulations again on the tiny baby, the tiny plantain that lives in your house now, against the fruit pizza himself, Pineapple Jones. Both of these teams were looking for their first win after a disappointing start to the season. Starting with Pineapple Boy, his team had a perfectly average day. Scary Terry was the only player that finished with over 20 points, bringing in 7 receptions for 125 and a tutty. Eckler couldn't find the end zone, but managed 18 points on 93 yards and 4 receptions. Josh Jacobs comes down from his week 1 performance where he absolutely crushed it last week. He only gets 88 yards this week on 27 carries for 13 points. Ronald Jones, 2, finishes with a tutty, but as a victim of the crowded backfield, Fournette vultured a couple scores from him, and he only ends up with 10 points on 7 carries. That's going to be a problem going forward. That's why I didn't want to touch anybody in that backfield. AJG was shut down by Denzel Ward, and Chris Herndon plays for the Jets. So, it's the Jets. I don't know why you have anybody on that team, but there you go. MJ ends up with a mediocre 104 points. Banana Father on the other side was anchored by the fucking vulture, Dak Prescott. Fuck you, Dak Prescott, with your 3 rushing touchdowns on 5 carries. I hate you. Regardless, Dak Prescott did okay for the Banana Man. He ends up with 450 passing yards, passing touchdown on top of his rushing touchdowns, finishes with 41 total points. He's absolutely killing it. Aaron Jones, dude had 168 yards on the ground, 3 total touchdowns for 45 points. He's a monster. It's probably only going to get better now that Devontae is out, unfortunately. Aaron Jones is going to be even more so the focal point of that offense. Even though the Panthers lost, DJ Moore still ended the day with 8 catches for 120 yards and 18 points. Cooper Kupp and CEH both finished with 13, while the rest of Bananas roster was just okay. He still wins 166 to 117, and he takes the first Fruit Bowl of the year. Now, before we get into the waiver situation and some injuries, I did have something for you guys here. I managed to talk to one of the fantasy managers after the game. I asked him how his team was doing, how he felt. He had a pretty good situation this week, and he wanted to let me know what was going on. So give me 1 second. Let me get this screen share figured out here. All right. Here we go. So we talked to Andrew Taylor the manager of the Andres 3000s. We're going to see what Andrew had to say about his team.
Pretty disappointed in a couple players, though. 2 players under 10 points on the entire roster. I think Jarvis and Mike are going to step up next week. They understand that they have roles to play. They're stars out there. And they want to contribute. So if they want to be,
All right, hold on a second. All right, give me a second. I messed this up. Because I don't think I was sharing the sound. Unfortunately, because I'm doing this on a Zoom, I don't know what you guys can hear, but I'm 90% sure I didn't do that correctly. So bear with me. We're going to try this one more time. All right, here we go.
Yeah, I guess it was a pretty good week in fantasy this week. 175 points on the starting lineup there. Pretty disappointed in a couple players, though. 2 players under 10 points on the entire roster. I think Jarvis and Mike are going to step up next week. They understand that they have roles to play. They're stars out there, and they want to contribute. So if they want to be, in that lineup, then they're going to, push their way to the top. Guys wanted to step up this week. Look at Leonard Fournette. Only gave him 12 carries, but what did he do with that? He got 103 yards and a touchdown. 42-yard rush at the end to really kind of put that oomph right in there. So, I got guys that want to step up, and if Jarvis and Mike don't want to do that, then they'll get cut. I understand that. That's fine. That's the nature of the beast. But not a lot's going to be rocking with this lineup. Got a lot of guys gelling together really well, and I think Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt are kind of a two-headed monster right now. Melvin Gordon's trying to, prove himself again. Say, hey, San Diego, I don't need you. I don't need that sunny weather every day. I'm on the Rockies, enjoying a joint. How about that? Recreation. So, how's fantasy going? It's all right. Week 3 coming up. It's the next game. The most important.
All right, that was Andrew Taylor, manager of Andres 3000, talking about how his team did this week. Andrew is scaring me a little bit. He is fully motivated, fully committed to the season, and if anybody could will a fake football roster to win, it's fucking Andrew. So whoever has to play him coming up, I'm glad I got that out of the way now. Whoever has to play him the next couple weeks, sorry about your luck. Because dude's on fucking steamroll, him and Brown both. All right. Real quick before we do waivers, I want to go down this list I compiled of injuries that are significant for fantasy. These are just like 10 or 12, the main ones I saw here. So real quick, we have Cam Akers for the Rams, rib injury. Not sure how long he'll be out. Tyrod Taylor had some weird chest issues. Not sure how long he'll be out for. Justin Herbert might be starting the rest of the season there. He didn't look too bad. Saquon for the Giants, ACL, done for the year. Sterling Shepard for the Giants, he had a toe. Don't know how long he'll be out for. CMC for the Panthers, he had an ankle, 3 to 6 weeks. Hopefully it'll be sooner than that. Paris Campbell for the Colts, ACL sprain. So not done for the year yet, I don't believe, but that's never good. Jimmy G for the 49ers had a high ankle. He's probably out a couple weeks. Mostart for the 49ers, MCL sprain, out a few weeks. Tevin Coleman for the 49ers had a knee. I don't know if he'll miss any time. Court Lane for the Broncos had a knee. He's done for the year. And Brashard Perryman for the Jets had an ankle. He'll be out for a little while. Let's check out the waiver wire real quick, and then I'll get you guys out of here. All right. So we had a little bit of activity this morning, not a ton. Let's just go down the list real quick and see what everybody was doing here. Kenyon Diggett, my man Brown, he grabbed Ryan Tannehill. He dropped LaVisca Chenault Jr. I got to be honest, I didn't even know that was a person. That sounds like a fake made-up person. But it was wide receiver for the Jacksonville Jaguars. He picks up Ryan Tannehill for no monies. Our first money pick we got here, Gronkville 69ers Hooch drops Greg the Leg. He picks up Dalton Schultz, the tight end for Dallas, for $10. MJ picks up Mike Gesicki, the tight end from Miami, for $11. Devontae Freeman goes for $12. A little surprised because I don't even think Devontae Freeman has a team unless I missed something. Like, he's still a free agent, right? But Bear grabs him for $12 just to be safe. I mean, that's fair. He could go to the Giants and end up being the starter there immediately. Who knows? Chark Knight MJ drops Chris Herndon, picks up Gardner Minshew as his backup quarterback, I'm assuming, for only $6. That's not bad. Horses in the back, Mitch grabs Mike Davis. I'm assuming that Clint was trying to be in on that too. He grabs Mike Davis for $20, and he also grabs Jerick McKinnon for $20. I was in on Jerick McKinnon. I think I only put $11 on him, though, because I'm not sure. He's had injury issues. He hasn't really played in a couple years. So I'm not sure what he's going to do, but, I mean, Mitch has some serious injury problems, so more power to you. I hope it works out for you, brother. And then we have Brian added Keelan Cole Sr., so he basically just dropped one Jacksonville wide receiver and picked up another one. All right, for $6. That's pretty much it. So Dion Lewis, Wayne Gallman, I think they're still sitting out there. I don't know if Darrell Henderson's on a team in our league or not, but he was one of the top waiver wire watches this week. But that will just about do us for this week, fellas. Let me get out of here real quick. I'm terrible with the Zoom. I still got to figure this out. It'll be smoother next week. I appreciate Andrew for sending in your review of your team. Great content as always, brother. You guys feel free to do that next week if you want. I'll slide them in there after I talk about your matchups. That's it for this week. Appreciate you guys watching. As always, if you have any comments or suggestions or questions, keep them to your fucking self, unless they're positive. That's all I ask. All right. Good luck to everybody this coming week except MJ. Mitch, I feel for you. I hope your team gets better. Yeah, good luck. Love you guys.